Based on the historical data and forecast, Bitcoin shows a slight upward trend with volatility. The RSI consistently remains above 60, indicating a generally bullish sentiment, though nearing overbought territory. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, suggesting increased volatility and potential for price swings. Given the current RSI of 58.7 and the forecast prices hovering around $118,300 to $118,700, I recommend a moderately bullish strategy focusing on short-term gains. Here's a portfolio strategy combining RSI, Bollinger Bands, and support/resistance levels. We will initiate a long position at $118,300. The stop loss will be set at $117,500, just below the recent low and the lower Bollinger Band, to limit potential losses. The initial target price is $118,700, aligning with the forecast price and the middle Bollinger Band. If the price reaches this target, we will move the stop loss to the entry price of $118,300 to secure profits. A secondary target is $119,200, near the recent resistance level, where we will consider taking partial profits and adjusting the stop loss accordingly. This strategy aims to capitalize on the short-term upward momentum while managing risk with well-defined stop loss and target levels. Based on the historical data and forecast, Ethereum shows a strong upward trend. The price has consistently broken through resistance levels and the RSI has been mostly above 70, indicating overbought conditions. The forecast for the next 2 weeks predicts continued upward movement, reaching $3,860. Given this bullish outlook, I recommend a long position strategy. We will implement a 3-tiered approach combining RSI, Bollinger Bands, and support/resistance levels. The entry price will be $3,710, coinciding with the first day of the forecast. A stop-loss order will be placed at $3,540, just below the recent low and above the support price of $2,540, to limit potential losses. The first target price will be $3,770, aligning with the upper Bollinger Band and a previous resistance level. If this target is reached, we will move the stop loss to the entry price of $3,710 to secure profits. The second target price will be $3,860, based on the forecast. If that target is hit, we will move the stop loss to $3,770. This strategy aims to capitalize on the ongoing upward trend while managing risk through strategic stop loss placements. This approach balances potential high returns with prudent risk management, a hallmark of successful Wall Street investing. Based on the historical data and forecast, XRP shows a mixed trend with periods of strong bullish momentum followed by corrections. The RSI consistently above 70 indicates overbought conditions, while the price has tested the resistance level of $3.55 multiple times. The forecast suggests a slight downward pressure in the coming week, with prices hovering around $3.3. Combining these factors, I recommend a strategy that capitalizes on potential pullbacks while remaining cautious due to the overbought conditions. My proposed strategy is a combination of RSI and Bollinger Band signals. I will initiate a long position at $3.25 when the price touches the lower band of the Bollinger Bands and the RSI dips below 65. The stop loss will be set at $3.17, just below the recent support level. The first target price will be $3.55, the previous resistance level. If the price reaches $3.55, I will move the stop loss to the entry price of $3.25 to secure profits. The second target price will be $3.76, the upper Bollinger Band. This combined approach leverages the momentum identified by the Bollinger Bands and confirms the potential for a reversal with the RSI, aiming for high returns while managing risk effectively. Based on the historical data and forecast, BNB demonstrates a clear uptrend with consistent price increases. The RSI consistently fluctuates above 60, indicating bullish momentum, and recently breached the 80 level, suggesting a potential short-term overbought condition. The Bollinger Bands show the price consistently trading within the bands, with the recent price approaching the upper band, further supporting a potential pullback. Considering these factors, I recommend a strategy that combines trend following and RSI-based corrections. We will enter a long position at $780, placing a stop-loss order at $757, just below the established support level. The initial target price will be $808, aligning with the forecast for August 1, 2025. To refine this strategy, we'll incorporate RSI signals. If the RSI dips below 60 during the forecast period, we'll reevaluate the position. For example, if the RSI falls to 55, we'll consider adjusting the target price to $799, capitalizing on a potential bounce from the oversold zone. Conversely, if the RSI remains consistently above 75, we might consider raising the target price to $820, anticipating further upward momentum. This dynamic approach allows us to adapt to changing market conditions while capitalizing on the overall bullish trend, maximizing potential returns while mitigating risk with the clearly defined stop-loss. Based on the historical data and forecast, Solana shows a strong upward trend, breaking through the resistance level of $181 and reaching a high of $205. The RSI indicates periods of overbought conditions, particularly above 70, but the overall trend remains bullish. The Bollinger Bands have widened, suggesting increased volatility and potential for further price movement. Considering these factors, my strategy is to implement a long position. I recommend entering a long position at $185, with a stop-loss placed at $182 to mitigate potential downside risk. The initial target price should be $189, based on the forecast and recent resistance levels. To refine the strategy, I'll incorporate the RSI and Bollinger Bands. When the RSI falls below 20, it signals an oversold condition, prompting a buy. Conversely, an RSI above 80 suggests an overbought scenario, hinting at a potential sell. As for the Bollinger Bands, if the price touches the lower band, it's a buy signal, and touching the upper band suggests a sell. Combining these indicators, I recommend adjusting the target price to $196 if the price reaches the upper Bollinger Band after entering the position at $185. This combined strategy offers a balance between trend following and momentum indicators, aiming for high returns while managing risk effectively. Based on the historical data and forecast, Dogecoin shows a mixed trend with periods of strong upward momentum followed by corrections. The RSI indicates periods of overbought and oversold conditions, suggesting potential trading opportunities. The Bollinger Bands show periods of volatility and potential mean reversion. Considering these factors, I propose a combined strategy leveraging RSI and Bollinger Bands for optimal returns. The strategy will involve a combination of long and short positions based on RSI and Bollinger Band signals. For the upcoming week, starting July 26, 2025, the forecast price is trending downwards, with the forecast price ranging from $0.244 to $0.235. Given the recent RSI exceeding 80 and the forecast price decreasing, I recommend a short position. Enter a short position at $0.244 with a stop-loss at $0.248. The initial target price will be $0.235, aligning with the forecast price. If the price reaches $0.235, consider moving the stop-loss to break even to protect profits and potentially target $0.23 for a more aggressive profit-taking strategy. This strategy combines the trend analysis, RSI signals, and Bollinger Bands to maximize potential returns while managing risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, TRON demonstrates a slight upward trend with periods of consolidation. The RSI consistently fluctuates above 60, indicating bullish momentum, with recent values nearing overbought territory, above 70. The Bollinger Bands show that the price has been oscillating within the bands, suggesting volatility. The support price remains steady at $0.309, while the resistance fluctuates around $0.326. Considering these factors, I propose a strategy combining RSI and Bollinger Bands to capitalize on potential upward movements. My recommended strategy is to enter a long position at $0.318 when the price touches the support level of $0.309 and the RSI is below 70. Set a stop-loss order at $0.306, just below the lower Bollinger Band to protect against unexpected downturns. The initial target price is $0.323, aligning with the forecast price and the upper Bollinger Band. If the price reaches this target, consider moving the stop loss to break even, $0.318, and setting a secondary target at $0.326, the resistance level. This approach balances risk and reward, leveraging both technical indicators and price action to maximize potential returns. Based on the historical data and forecast, Cardano shows a generally upward trend, although with some volatility. The RSI consistently fluctuates, nearing overbought conditions, above 80, and occasionally dipping towards oversold levels, below 20. The Bollinger Bands indicate periods of expansion and contraction, suggesting varying degrees of price volatility. Given the recent upward momentum and the forecast prices hovering around 0.834 to 0.837, I recommend a long position strategy. We will enter a long position at $0.817. The stop loss will be set at $0.805, just below the support level, to protect against a potential downward reversal. The initial target price will be $0.891, aligning with the recent resistance level. To refine this strategy, we will incorporate RSI and Bollinger Band signals. If the RSI falls below 20, indicating an oversold condition, we will consider entering a long position at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands. Conversely, if the RSI exceeds 80, suggesting an overbought condition, we will consider exiting the position or tightening our stop loss. If the price breaks above $0.891, we will adjust the target price to $0.941, following the upper Bollinger Band. This dynamic approach allows us to adapt to changing market conditions and maximize potential returns while minimizing risk. The overall strategy combines trend following with momentum indicators for a robust and adaptive investment approach. Based on the historical data and forecast, SUI shows a slight upward trend, supported by the consistently holding support price of $3.72 and fluctuating within the Bollinger Bands. The RSI readings, while oscillating, generally remain above 50, suggesting bullish momentum. Considering the forecast prices, which predict a range between $3.87 and $3.98, I recommend a long position. Our entry price will be $3.87, capitalizing on the initial forecast price. To manage risk, we will set a stop-loss order at $3.72, coinciding with the established support level. Our target price will be $3.98, reflecting the highest predicted forecast price within the week. To enhance the strategy, we will incorporate RSI signals. If the RSI drops below 30, indicating an oversold condition, we will consider averaging down our position to $3.87. Conversely, if the RSI exceeds 70, suggesting overbought conditions, we will take partial profits at $3.95. The Bollinger Bands will serve as additional confirmation. A break above the upper band suggests continued upward momentum, reinforcing our long position. A touch of the lower band signals a potential pullback, prompting a review of our stop loss and position size. This combined approach, blending forecast data, support and resistance levels, and RSI/Bollinger Band signals, aims to maximize returns while effectively managing risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, Stellar shows a mixed trend. The RSI has been fluctuating above 70 for much of the period, indicating overbought conditions. However, the recent decline in RSI towards 60 suggests a potential pullback. The Bollinger Bands show that the price has been approaching the upper band, further supporting the idea of a possible correction. Considering these factors, I recommend a short position with an entry price of $0.469. The stop loss should be set just above the upper Bollinger Band at $0.473 to account for potential volatility. The first target price is $0.43, aligning with the support price and a reasonable profit margin. To refine the strategy, I'll incorporate the RSI levels. If the price reaches $0.43 and the RSI falls below 30, consider covering the short position and re-evaluating. If the price fails to reach the target and retraces, the stop loss will protect against further losses. If the price breaks above $0.473, it signals a failure of the short strategy, and it's best to exit the position immediately. The most efficient portfolio will be a short position with an entry price of $0.469, a stop loss price of $0.473, and a target price of $0.43. Based on the historical data and forecast, Celestia shows a volatile trend with significant price swings. The price has bounced between a support of $1.83 and a resistance of $2.24. The RSI has fluctuated between 47.6 and 69.0, indicating periods of both oversold and overbought conditions. The Bollinger Bands have also widened, suggesting increased volatility. The forecast for the next week predicts a slight downward trend, with prices ranging from $1.96 to $1.83. Combining these factors, I recommend a short-term swing trading strategy focusing on capitalizing on the volatility within the established range. My strategy will be a tiered approach, blending RSI, Bollinger Bands, and support/resistance levels. Initially, I will enter a long position at $1.87 when the price touches the lower Bollinger Band and the RSI falls below 50. The stop loss will be set at $1.83, just below the support level, to limit potential losses. The first target price will be $1.93, aligning with the middle Bollinger Band. If the price reaches this target, I will move the stop loss to the entry price of $1.87. The second target price will be $2.17, near the previous resistance level, and if achieved, I will take partial profits and consider a trailing stop loss. If the price fails to reach $1.93 and shows signs of further decline, I will exit the position at $1.83, cutting losses. This strategy aims to capture quick gains from short-term price fluctuations while managing risk effectively. Based on the historical data and forecast, Bonk shows a clear upward trend, consistently testing and surpassing the resistance level of $0.000370. The RSI consistently remains above 70, indicating overbought conditions, but the price continues to rise, suggesting strong bullish momentum. The Bollinger Bands are widening, confirming increasing volatility and potential for further price movement. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy. The entry price should be $0.000360, coinciding with the beginning of the forecast period and a relatively stable price point. A stop loss should be placed at $0.000330, slightly below the recent support and the lower Bollinger Band to limit potential losses. The target price should be $0.000388, aligning with the forecast peak and the upper Bollinger Band, aiming to capitalize on the anticipated upward movement. To refine this strategy, I'll incorporate RSI signals. If the RSI drops below 30 during the forecast period, consider entering a long position at $0.000360 with the same stop loss and target price. Conversely, if the RSI exceeds 80, consider taking profits at $0.000379. This adaptive approach, combined with Bollinger Band analysis and trend confirmation, aims to maximize returns while managing risk effectively. The portfolio will prioritize the long position based on the upward trend, with adjustments based on RSI and Bollinger Band signals for enhanced precision. Based on the historical data and forecast, Conflux demonstrates significant volatility, with a recent surge followed by a sharp correction. The RSI values have fluctuated considerably, reaching overbought conditions, above 80, and approaching oversold levels, below 20. The Bollinger Bands indicate periods of high and low volatility. Considering the recent price action and the forecast for the next week, a cautious but opportunistic strategy is warranted. I recommend a long position entry at $0.172, coinciding with a bounce from the support level and a potential oversold condition based on the Bollinger Bands. A stop loss should be placed at $0.163 to mitigate potential losses if the price continues to decline. The initial target price is set at $0.185, aligning with the forecast and a reasonable profit target given the current market conditions. To refine this strategy, I'll incorporate RSI and Bollinger Band signals. If the RSI falls below 20, indicating an oversold condition, a long position entry at $0.172 is justified, with a stop loss at $0.163 and a target of $0.185. Conversely, if the RSI exceeds 80, suggesting an overbought scenario, consider a short position entry at $0.184, with a stop loss at $0.187 and a target of $0.175. The most efficient portfolio would involve a combination of these strategies: dynamically adjusting positions based on real-time RSI and Bollinger Bands readings. This approach balances risk and reward, capitalizing on both upward and downward price movements while protecting against significant losses. Based on the historical data and forecast, Hedera shows an upward trend with some volatility. The RSI consistently above 70 indicates overbought conditions, suggesting a potential pullback before further gains. The Bollinger Bands show that the price has been fluctuating within the bands, recently approaching the upper band. Considering these factors, I recommend a cautious but opportunistic strategy. We will initiate a long position when the RSI dips below 65, indicating a potential oversold condition. Specifically, enter a long position at $0.264. Place a stop-loss order at $0.239, just below the recent low. Set a target price at $0.271, aligning with the forecast price and the upper Bollinger Band. To refine this strategy, we'll incorporate Bollinger Bands. If the price breaks above the upper Bollinger Band, it signals continued upward momentum, and we can adjust the target price to $0.273. Conversely, if the price touches the lower Bollinger Band, it confirms the oversold condition, and we should tighten the stop-loss to $0.26. This dynamic adjustment allows us to capitalize on the trend while mitigating risk. This portfolio combines the RSI and Bollinger Band strategies to optimize returns and manage risk effectively, aiming for high returns while protecting capital. Based on the historical data and forecast, Convex Finance exhibits a strong upward trend. The price has consistently moved above the Bollinger Band center, indicating bullish momentum. The RSI consistently above 60 suggests that the asset is in a strengthening position. The forecast data projects continued price increases, reaching $6.01. Therefore, I recommend a long position strategy. Entry price will be $5.1, with a stop-loss set at $4.88 to protect against potential downside risks. The initial target price will be $5.84, aligning with the forecast data and resistance level. To refine this strategy, I'll incorporate the RSI indicator. When the RSI falls below 30, consider entering a long position. The predicted price movement based on the Bollinger Band suggests that the price will continue to move above the upper band, indicating a potential for further gains. The final portfolio will consist of a long position with an entry price of $5.1, a stop-loss at $4.88, and a target price of $5.84. This strategy combines trend analysis, forecast data, and technical indicators to maximize potential returns while minimizing risk. Based on the historical data and forecast, Bitcoin Cash shows a generally upward trend, supported by the consistently rising forecast prices from $532 to $559. The RSI fluctuates between 52.9 and 68.3, indicating periods of both oversold and overbought conditions. We'll implement a combined strategy utilizing RSI and Bollinger Bands to maximize potential returns. Initially, we will wait for the price to approach the lower Bollinger Band and the RSI to fall below 30, signaling an oversold condition. When the price reaches $480 plus, with an RSI below 30, we'll enter a long position. Our stop loss will be set at $470, protecting against a potential reversal. The initial target price will be $540, aiming to capture a significant portion of the upward momentum. As the price approaches $540, we will reevaluate the RSI and Bollinger Bands. If the RSI is approaching 80 and the price is near the upper Bollinger Band, we will consider taking partial profits at $540 and moving the stop-loss to break even at $480. If the price continues to rise and the RSI remains below 70, we will keep the remaining position and adjust the target price to $559, based on the forecast. This dynamic approach allows us to adapt to changing market conditions while maximizing potential profits and minimizing risk. The key is to maintain a disciplined approach, adhering to the predefined entry, stop-loss, and target prices. Based on the historical data and forecast, Curve DAO exhibits an overall upward trend, with recent fluctuations. The RSI indicates periods of overbought and oversold conditions, while the Bollinger Bands suggest potential price volatility. Considering the support price of $0.939 and the resistance price of $1.07, a combined strategy leveraging RSI and Bollinger Bands is recommended. Specifically, when the RSI dips below 20, indicating an oversold condition, a long position should be initiated. For example, if the RSI falls to 18, enter a long position at $0.94. Place a stop-loss order at $0.92 to mitigate potential losses. The initial target price should be set at $1.03, near the recent resistance level. To refine this strategy, incorporate the Bollinger Bands. When the price touches the lower band, it signals a potential buying opportunity, reinforcing the RSI oversold signal. If the price breaks above the upper band, it suggests a potential sell signal. For instance, if the RSI is below 20 and the price is near the lower Bollinger Band around $0.39, enter a long position at $0.40. Set a stop-loss at $0.38 and a target price at $1.03. As the forecast indicates a continued upward trend with prices reaching $1.15, consider adjusting the target price to $1.13 to capitalize on the potential gains. This combined approach balances risk and reward, aiming for high returns while managing potential drawdowns. Based on the historical data and forecast, Axelar shows an overall upward trend, consistently testing and breaking through resistance levels. The RSI values have fluctuated between 51.4 and 67.7, indicating periods of both neutral and slightly overbought conditions. The Bollinger Bands have been widening recently, suggesting increasing volatility and potential for price movement. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy focusing on capitalizing on the upward trend while managing risk. The entry price will be $0.395, coinciding with the start of the forecast period and a relatively low RSI value of 51.4. The stop-loss will be set at $0.377, aligning with the established support level to protect against a potential reversal. The initial target price will be $0.428, representing the upper end of the forecast range and a reasonable profit target. To refine the strategy, I'll incorporate the RSI and Bollinger Bands indicators. When the RSI falls below 30, indicating an oversold condition, we will enter a long position. Conversely, when the RSI exceeds 70, signaling an overbought state, we will consider exiting the position or taking profits. The Bollinger Bands will provide additional signals. If the price touches the lower band, it suggests a potential buying opportunity. If the price reaches the upper band, it may indicate a time to take profit or reduce exposure. Combining these signals, the strategy will be dynamically adjusted, with a trailing stop-loss implemented as the price moves higher to lock in profits and manage risk effectively. The portfolio will prioritize the long position strategy with adjustments based on RSI and Bollinger Band signals, aiming for high returns while maintaining risk management. Based on the historical data and forecast, Maple Finance shows a potential upward trend. The RSI has been consistently increasing, closing at 62.7 on July 25, indicating an overbought condition, but the forecast suggests continued upward momentum. The Bollinger Bands have been widening, indicating increased volatility, and the price is currently near the upper band. Given this, I recommend a long position with an entry price of $0.484. A stop-loss should be placed just below the lower Bollinger Band at $0.383 to protect against a potential pullback. The initial target price is set at the resistance level of $0.564, aligning with the forecast for July 26. To refine this strategy, we'll incorporate RSI signals. When the RSI falls below 30, oversold, we'll consider a long entry. Conversely, when the RSI exceeds 70, overbought, we'll consider a short entry. Given the current RSI of 62.7, we'll maintain the long position and adjust the target price to $0.536, near the support level. If the RSI drops below 30, we'll enter a long position at $0.383 with a stop-loss at $0.350 and a target price of $0.481. This blended approach combines Bollinger Band volatility signals with RSI momentum indicators for enhanced risk management and profit potential. Based on the historical data and forecast, Ethena shows a strong upward trend. The price has consistently broken through resistance levels, and the forecast for the next week indicates continued growth. The RSI is mostly above 50, with peaks above 80, suggesting strong buying momentum. The Bollinger Bands have also widened, indicating increased volatility and potential for further price movement. Considering these factors, I recommend a long position strategy. Entry price should be $0.519, with a stop loss set at $0.46, just below the recent support level. The initial target price should be $0.609, aligning with the forecast for August 1, 2025. To refine the strategy, we'll incorporate the RSI and Bollinger Bands. When the RSI dips below 30, consider adding to the position, with an entry price of $0.519. If the price touches the lower Bollinger Band, it signals a potential buying opportunity. If the price reaches the upper Bollinger Band, consider taking partial profits and setting a new target price of $0.609. This combined approach balances trend following with momentum and volatility indicators for a more robust and potentially high-return investment.